Back when I worked at Blockbuster, I had been called a movie snob many times. Like many times. Different employees, different customers. Yeah. I mean, it just happened. And it's just I like quality, I like good movies. I like movies that really stir something in me, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to say it. The majority of horror movies, they just don't do that for me. But that doesn't mean that when October rolls around, I don't feel like watching some scary movies or, maybe attempt to scare me. So, I picked up this 1999 digital set of Stephen King movies, and most of them I hadn't seen. So I thought, hey, why not? Let's watch some of them. Let's talk about them on the show. It's Halloween time. Why not? So let's talk about them. I will say right off the bat that this isn't going to be for all of them. It's only going to be for the first three that I've watched. And then I'm going to watch the remaining three that I'd never seen on a separate video. But I have seen Silver Bullet, which I really like. It's based on a Stephen King short story called or it's not really a short story. It is a shorter story when it comes to King. Cycle of the Werewolf. It's actually pretty good. I have it in here somewhere. But I really liked it, and I liked the movie. I thought the movie was good. Corey Haim, Gary Busey. I mean, come on, it was fun. And then the other one is The Running Man, which I've read the short story, Richard Bachman short story. So when Stephen King was writing under a pen name, and yeah, I like that one too. I mean, it's very 80s, 80s Schwarzenegger. It's okay. It's not the best movie, but I like it. I like it. And I'm looking forward to watching that again. But we're going to be talking about the ones that I haven't seen. So the first one on the list is Thinner. So this is about a lawyer who basically gets cursed by I'm just going to say a traveling group of people, some almost circusy kind of people. But yeah, I mean, there's a term that's, maybe not much in use today, but they say it about 7,500 times in the movie. So if you want to know, you can watch the movie or whatever. But anyway, yeah, this one is, man, the whole movie reminds me of like a Hallmark type production. It has a very, very just on the surface kind of look to it. There's not a lot of depth to this movie. The acting is very just fine. Joe Mantegna actually does what he can with the role that he has here to play. But then you've got Carrie Wurr as one of the traveling group of people. She's an attractive lady. There's no question. But wow, this performance, wow. Now, Robert John Burke plays the main character, and he's probably best known for maybe RoboCop 3. I don't know. I've seen him before in a lot of other movies and TV shows as, supporting characters. I've never really seen him in a lot of lead roles, but he does pretty well, I got to say. And even some of the effects were kind of impressive. I mean, he's got a suit on to make him look heavier. Okay, at the beginning of the movie. And of course, because of the curse, he starts to lose weight down to almost nothing. It's an interesting concept. It's just goofy, man. It's a goofy movie. The movie was really short. It's under 90 minutes, but back in these days in the 90s and the 80s, I mean, 90-minute movies were the norm. I mean, most people only watched 90-minute to 100-minute movies. I mean, it was very rare for a movie to go over 2 hours. So in that respect, I kind of appreciated the short length because I was kind of like, okay, this isn't getting any better. So let's wrap it up here. But the movie just ends. The movie ends on a big, that's it. Now, here's the thing. Stephen King, for the longest time has had one of his, I guess his biggest criticisms is that he doesn't know how to end a story. This one feels like a non-ending. And it's just, I don't know. It was kind of frustrating after all the time that I'd spent. I mean, granted 90 minutes, but I I just wanted something. I don't know. I was expecting something more, I guess. Now, the next movie on the list was Graveyard Shift from 1990. Wow, this movie's not good. Like, it is not well paced. It's rough. This movie's probably, it may be the worst movie in the whole bunch. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen them all, but this movie was not good. This movie was just not good at all. This is another one that's under 90 minutes. I think it's 86 minutes. But how can a movie that's so short feel as long as this movie does? There's a lot of just, it's just weird, man. It's just not good. It's about a cotton mill in I guess the Northeast. I think it's in Maine somewhere. Um, Run by this guy who's just a megalomaniac, and he's insane. I don't understand why he had to be so insane. It was strange. It was a strange thing. But then there are rats in the cotton mill, whatever, and you've got an exterminator that tries to come in, and there's this somehow a big, huge monster rat thing with wings. I don't understand. The main character here is played by David Andrews, who he's another one. He's another one of those character actors. He was in the early 90s, late 80s. I think they tried to make him into a leading man, and it just didn't work out. He's played mostly mostly supporting roles ever since, but he's not bad, but he's not really memorable either. So it's kind of a weird, and this is mostly due to the writing. Now, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, but Stephen Mocht plays the owner of the mill. That's kind of a crazy megalomaniac dude. You may recognize him as the main character's dad, the dad in the Monster Squad, the police guy. Which as soon as I saw him, I'm like, okay, I know this guy. Who is it? I had to look him up, and there you go. It was kind of interesting to see that, and to see him play a role that was so different than what I knew him from. But wow, he really goes for it, and he's just a nut job in this movie, and it's entertaining to the point where you're like, okay, I get what you're trying to do here, but why? And then it's never really explained, and then it's I don't know. To me, the big standout, though, was Brad Dourif plays the exterminator here. And if you don't know who Brad Dourif is, he's been in many, many horror movies. Very memorable character actor, I guess you could say. He played Wormtongue in the Lord of the Rings movies. I thought he was great. He was really fun in this small little role as an ex-Vietnam vet who now is an exterminator, and he's talking about the rats in Vietnam and blah, blah, blah. And they worked with the Viet Cong, and I'm like, what is this? It's such a weird movie. And again, why does it feel so long? Now, the last movie that we're going to talk about today is Tales from the Darkside from 1990. Again, this one is a compilation, like short stories kind of movie, a lot like Creepshow and Creepshow 2. In fact, a lot of people look at this as Creepshow 3 because you got George Romero involved, you got Stephen King involved. I mean, I can understand that. This one was probably the most fun of the three. So in the first story, Lot 249, I'm just going to say it's about a mummy, and it's interesting and kind of goofy, but kind of fun. And actually, I will say a lot of the effects were really interesting. Practical effects in 1990. I was actually kind of impressed with some of the effects work here. But you got Christian Slater in this. You've got Steve Buscemi. You've got Julianne Moore in her first role, by the way. And it was interesting to watch from that perspective. Like, gosh, 1990, 33 years ago. That's kind of nuts to watch this and kind of see how these actors play off each other. And it was kind of fun, but it's also pretty goofy. The next one is called Cat from Hell. And just the name is funny. But you've got William Hickey, which if you've watched Christmas Vacation, the grandpa, the nitroglycerin plant guy, that's William Hickey. He was also in Mouse Hunt. He's been in a lot of movies. But what's weird is I'm looking at him and he's like, wow, he's always looked this old, but he was only 62 when he made this. So it's not like he was like this ancient guy. So it was kind of interesting to see that. But look, he's in it. He actually plays he plays his role with a lot of gusto. I will say he gives it all. He gives it his all, I will say. And then you've got David Johansen, who, again, one of those actors where I'm like, I know this guy. Who is it? He's the ghost of Christmas Past from Scrooged, and he is also, you might know him from his alter ego, Buster Poindexter. You know, the hot, hot, hot song? Yeah, that's him. So it was interesting to see him here. And of course, a little supporting role from Mark Margolis. That guy, he recently passed away. But man, what a great character actor. He's in a very, very small scene here. But it was actually kind of cool to see him there. This one felt like the cheapest, I guess, of all of the... It was pretty much all in one location. William Hickey's character is basically trying to get David Johansen's character to kill this cat because of all of the bad things that it's done. Okay, this one was out there, and yeah, it's a strange one. But what's kind of funny is that even though it's ridiculous and goofy, there's some POV shots from the cat's point of view that are kind of, I mean, they made me laugh. I will say it was kind of entertaining from that perspective. But then at the end of this story, the cat does something that you don't expect. And even though it's ridiculous, I was kind of impressed with the effects work. Like, I was like, okay, that's actually kind of impressive. But wow, what a goofy story. Now, the last one on the list is called Lover's Vow. And this one was actually kind of an interesting story as well. This one probably is the most, I don't know, like fleshed out, I guess, of these stories. The they're about 30 minutes each. But this has James Remar, who, I'll be honest with you, I've seen him before in other things, but what I remember him from is that he was going to play Hicks in Aliens and was fired, I guess. But that's mainly what I know him from. But he's been in a ton of things. You got Robert Klein, the comedian from the 80s. I actually thought he was pretty good here. And Radon Chong, who's been in many, many movies. Of course, the daughter of Tommy Chong. So yeah, this one was an interesting one. And I don't know how much I really want to say about it, other than I enjoyed the story, the way it played out, even though I saw it coming from a mile away. But yeah, I'll say this, there's puppet work here. And the puppet work was pretty bad. Like, it looked bad. But there is a transformation that happens in the movie. I was seriously like, that was cool. That was really, really cool. And very, like, disgusting, but kind of awesome. I really enjoyed that sequence, because it reminded me a lot of like American Werewolf in London, how amazing that transformation is. There is a transformation like that here. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's overall not bad. So were these scary? No, I can't. No, they weren't scary at all. But I did enjoy them on a certain level, especially, and maybe this is because of the fun stuff we've been doing over there on the Game Chasers channel and watching these, I mean, some really bad movies. I'm guessing I'm watching these with a little more appreciation. Even though there are pacing problems, there's especially problems around the, I guess the language of the time. But other than that, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them okay. I still think that probably the worst of the three was Graveyard Shift. That one I didn't enjoy really much at all. Thinner was a little better, and especially like I liked some of the makeup effects and things like that. Tales from the Darkside, I just had a good time with. And maybe it's because I didn't have a whole 90 minutes to sit there through a story. These were little 30-minute kind of short stories, reminded me of like Amazing Stories or the Alfred Hitchcock Presents kind of stories. So I kind of liked them. I thought it was pretty fun. But I'm kind of curious, what are your favorites of these? And then what are some of your favorite Stephen King movies out there? Because I mean, look, everybody's got their horror movie list. But what about Stephen King movies? What are your favorite Stephen King horror movies? Let's talk about that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.